Think if you could look at your financial data not just to understand what happened, but to know what's likely to happen next. Think if your systems could flag risks easily, explain variances instantly, and recommend actions. That's the promise of AI in finance. But while many organizations are experimenting, very few have scaled it, often held back by data challenges, fragmented processes, and questions around trust and governance. So the question isn't just about adopting AI, it's about how ready we are for the change it brings.
You're listening to The Thought Line, a Forvis Mazars podcast, where we explore the ideas and insights shaping industries and economies across the globe.
Good morning, listeners. Welcome to The Thought Line. I'm Rajita Rajan.
And I'm Anukriti Jain, your host for today. In this second episode, we'll dive into a topic that is rapidly reshaping the finance function: the role of AI in driving smarter, faster, and more forward looking decisions.
To help us explore this, we're joined by an expert who works closely with organizations navigating finance transformation. We're delighted to welcome Swatantra Bhatia, partner accounting and outsourcing, Forvis Mazars in India. Swatantra is a seasoned financial leader with over 2 decades of experience and global exposure, combining CFO level insight with deep technical expertise. He has been closely involved in advising organizations on leveraging AI to transform finance functions and drive scalable digital adoption. Swatantra, thank you for joining today.
Thank you for having me on board.
AI in finance is no longer just about efficiency. It's increasingly shaping decision making, risk, and competitive advantage. In this episode, we'll try to unpack where organizations really stand today, what's holding them back, and what it takes to move from experimentation to scale. And hopefully, by the end of this conversation, leaders will have a clearer sense of how to approach AI in their own finance function. Swatantra, let's start by discussing where we are today with AI in finance. Are we still in early adoption, at an inflection point, or already seeing it go mainstream?
AI in finance is no longer a futuristic conversation now. It's already there. Many companies, they are already building solutions using AI and also using it in their finance operations. But finance is not like marketing or operations where you can do some experiment, because if you are making some mistakes, you will be caught in the audit in the end. So therefore, many finance functions in industries, they are using AI, but they are also cautious about how to implement it more carefully rather than doing the experiments.
Okay, so what about markets like India, where finance spans both highly organized enterprises and a large unorganized sector? How do you see AI adoption playing out across these two worlds?
So in market like India, it's even more interesting because you are dealing with organized companies, you are also dealing with semi-organized or unorganized companies. I feel that for organized companies, it will be a layer above what they are already doing, because they are using ERP, they already have data governance, they already have processes in place. So for them, it will become in addition to what they are doing. Whereas for non-organized or unorganized industries or companies, it will be basically how to deal with their headaches. So they will use it more as if they have a problem, they want to solve a problem and they will do it. Whereas if you also see with organized industries, since they have a long-term decision process, they have a lot of governance. So therefore, the implementation will be more challenging. So I feel that for unorganized companies, it will be easier to adopt AI rather than for organized, because for them it's just a decision making and they can do it on smaller scales rather than going for big projects.
Swatantra, you use the word semi organized. In your experience, how is this segment different from an organized player? What are some challenges that you face while dealing with such players?
So organized, I would say there are big companies. They already have ERPs, they already have BI tools, they are well structured in terms of tools governance. Then you have unorganized, they are not into mainstream, I would say. and they are dealing with their processes on spreadsheets. They are taking decisions based on information which comes on WhatsApp. And then you have, I call it semi-organized. So for me, semi-organized is they have ERPs, but they don't have right processes. They don't have BI tools to enable them to take a right decision based on data which is available with them.
So, Swatantra, my next question to you is, we see that many organizations want to adopt AI, but struggle to move beyond pilots. Is the real constraint technology or deeper issues like budget constraints, data quality, fragmented processes, and lack of standardization?
I think most companies, they feel that they have AI problem. They actually have operating model problem, like you are saying. So it's more of a data fragmentation, non-standardized processes. So these are the main problems. So before your data is inconsistent, it's fragmented. So AI doesn't fix it. It's basically act as a magnifier which exposes or which highlights it very efficiently that there is a problem. I'll give you one example. So we have a client where we have implemented AI based expenses classification tool. So we were expecting, client was happy, we were expecting that this tool will work efficiently. But when we started using this tool, we realized that they don't have any standard processes. So they have multiple departments, and each department they were using rules differently. So AI was able to classify based on rules which we set up for them. But when we dig into the problem, we realize that since the processes are not standard, that's why the outcome was not efficient. So when we started working with them to streamline the processes, the AI started giving right results. So it's a problem of right processes. It's problem of not having standard data, standard processes, and fragmented data.
So you might trust AI in a controlled setting, but scaling it across the organization is a different story, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And that's where trust becomes critical, especially in a function like finance, where accuracy and accountability are non negotiable. So, this brings us to our next question. How should organizations think about compliance, governance, and auditability when AI starts influencing financial decisions?
So I strongly believe finance cannot operate on black box decision making as of today, at least. There are many systems which are being used in finance. No one knows what's happening behind them. But since you can audit them, you can also check the consistency of data. That's why finance professionals, they believe in those systems. So unless there is proper traceability of what is happening behind the AI tools, and there is auditability, I don't think a finance function will trust the system. So as I mentioned earlier, it's not like other operational functions where you can experiment, and many decisions, important decisions are being taken by companies based on the data. So there has to be proper governance. There has to be data which can be audited later on. Then only it can be fully adopted in finance function.
Swatantra, I would also like to understand that considering AI has the potential to significantly reduce manual work in the tax, audit, and finance sectors, does the traditional outsourcing industry as we know it still survive in the long term?
So there is a perception that AI will reduce outsourcing demand. I actually think in many cases it will shift the way outsourcing team is working. So right now we are working based on volume, and then there will be based on what value we can create for the organization. So the roles will change. There has to be human in the process, even if there is AI, because I don't think any company will take decision only based on outcome which is coming from the AI. So there has to be human. So outsourcing industry, I feel that there will be a shift, and the shift will be more related to how much value you are creating when you are validating the outcome which is given by the AI. So I don't see that in midterm there is any risk, but there is definitely going to be a shift how outsourcing companies or industry they are supporting their clients or they are adding value to the clients.
And what skills are becoming essential in this scenario?
So there were people who were hiding behind the spreadsheet because they are quite good in spreadsheet. So I would say that the skills which are more related to your core knowledge of financial decision making will become more essential in this job, because all the transactional activities I feel could be done by the AI, whereas when you have to read the reports which is generated by AI, there has to be a knowledge which you have to apply when you're reading the reports, and then you can help the decision making based on your understanding of the data.
I was recently speaking to a finance leader who said their biggest challenge isn't adopting AI, it's keeping up with how fast it's evolving. So, on that note, Swatantra, what do you see changing over the next 5 years?
So I've seen or I've heard many a times, or I was part of a discussion where there is a lot of hype that finance will become fully AI driven in next 5 years or in future. I don't think this is going to happen. So as I was mentioning earlier, that finance moves carefully. At times, the decision making is based on too many facts. It seems that you are actually asking a board meeting to take a decision. So I would say that there would be a clear shift. There will be more real-time finance. There will be more predictive decision making. There will be more structured data. But I don't think that finance will become fully AI driven in the next 5 years. Maybe in long term, it may become. I strongly believe that for finance, instead of reacting so fast, they should start acting slowly but with proper governance and as per the rules which would ensure that you are not breaching any data confidentiality, as well as you are not putting on risk any decision making just based on your reliance on AI.
Since we're talking about AI and automation, what has been your experience at Forvis Mazars when it comes to automating finance processes and controls?
Sanukriti, it's a good question because you have to start from your own house for sure. So, since we are serving many clients in outsourcing, so we also took a decision last year to use AI and to digitalize the processes. How are we dealing with our clients? So, right now we have full digitalization in outsourcing service line, where we are able to interact with our clients digitally. We are able to provide them services which are more digital. We are able to extend the tools which are helping them to make their processes more digitals, like forensic analysis, like big data transformation. So all these things are being implemented, being also extended to the client, which is appreciated by the client, which is also helping us or our team to understand AI, and especially the transformation and digitalization through AI. At the same time, we are also quite cautious about protecting the data of our client. So obviously, we have human in kind in process loop, where our team members they always take decision after reviewing the data, even if it is prepared by using AI.
Which industries or sectors do you see moving fastest in adopting AI, and which ones are likely to lag?
So while we often talk about industries moving faster or slower, I actually think leadership mindset matters more than industry. There are obvious reasons where some of the sectors like e-commerce, SaaS, or other industries, they will move faster because they have large data. They already have structured data, and they have a clear ROI to present. So they will move faster, whereas traditional industries like manufacturing, they might take time. Even with this, I feel I have seen industries where there are contrasting approach taken by the same industry. So you may find one of our client which is into e-commerce. So their main problem was related to order to cash reconciliation because of the huge data. So they were not able to do it, and they were not in fact looking into AI. They had a problem that they wanted to solve, and we could provide a solution using AI, where now they are quite happy with the solution because they are able to reconcile it quite fast. Whereas we also have another client in the same industry, but they are quite slow in their adoption, and there is again it's a leadership mindset which makes a lot of difference.
Swatantra, how can leaders effectively drive AI adoption within their organizations and ensure it actually delivers value?
So I believe leaders first they have to realize that there is a problem. So as I was mentioning earlier, and that AI is actually it's sort of a magnifier which will highlight the problem with more contrast. So as soon as leaders, when they understand that there is a problem, I think they need to fix the process first. And it's a leadership mindset which can actually help to run small projects in the company rather than going for a big project. So we call it, when we have discussion in our team, so we call it more of a agile mode. So recommend to the leaders or the leadership behavior which can think based on agile method of solving the problem, where you can actually break down problem into small pieces and then try to solve each pieces separately. Then it will help, because I've also seen with our clients many a times when they are trying to implement AI, and they go for a big project without even addressing the underlying problem. And underlying problem can be a small problem, but since they don't look into underlying problem, there is a risk that the project will fail. And once there is a failure, then it becomes quite expensive AI initiative, and then the leadership mindset is to cut the cost immediately rather than going for the improvement. So when they go for small initiatives or agile method of solving the problem, it is always helpful, and they can see small successes.
Rightly said, Swatantra. It's about taking a measured approach and starting with small steps and then scaling up.
Yes.
With this, we come to the end of our discussion. Thank you, Swatantra, for sharing your perspectives with us.
So thank you for having me on this podcast. It's interesting discussion. Key thing to remember is AI in finance is not just about the efficiency. It's about improving decisions. And finance by design doesn't move fast. It moves carefully. So the goal is not to rush adoption, but to adopt in a way that actually strengthens trust, control, and insight. Because at the end of the day, finance, being fast is good, but being right is still more important.
To our listeners, we hope this conversation has given you a clearer view of where AI in finance stands today and what it means for the road ahead.
Stay tuned for more conversations on the Thought Line, available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to explore, do write to us at thethoughtline@mazars.co.in.
This is The Thought Line, a Forvis Mazars podcast where ideas meet insight to shape what's next.
This episode was brought together with research and support from Devesh Srivastava, Kanishka Gulati, and Simran Sidana, and editing and recording by Taranpreet Valjot and Swati Goel.